What's up, everybody? It's your favorite, and they said it would never happen's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at the final mold of Fansproject's Dinobot attempt. It's taken a while, but it is out. Now, this is the Diaclone inspired one. This is all known to me from Apache. He's part of the Toy Detox crew. He designed their website as well. He does tremendous work. So check out Toy Detox, part of the Cool Table Network. Check out their website, and you can contact him if you're looking for a website of your own. That being said, I was in the pleasure of this man's company recently, so to speak, at Dust's birthday party, Dustapalooza, and he knew I hadn't reviewed this yet, asked if I was interested. I said absolutely. So let's talk about it. And you know where I like to start. Accessories. So he comes with one sword, black sculpt on the hilt, and then blue translucent for the blade. You know, I would imagine that this blade will be red for the regular release. And, of course, a 5mm peg. And one very signature Snarl rifle. Nothing really to write home about here, folks. Just black plastic and some interesting sculpt work, not a lick of paint. But if that doesn't excite you, maybe this will. You can plug it into the hips. And he holds them both just fine. Other riders turned into weapons for the Diaclone ones, but this one doesn't seem to. A lot of blue plastic, silver finish on the body and head. The head is on a swivel. The eyes aren't painted, which just seems lame. Shoulders are on ball pegs. You get out to there and around. Okay, I guess. Single hinged elbow, less than 90 degrees. Ball peg hips, you get out to there. No waist swivel. Forward and back is not a problem. And you get a knee bend that is less than 90 degrees. So nothing great here, but nothing too terrible. And if you want him to be true to name, there he is on his pinned chair. Let's talk about this fella. Really nice gold chrome. On the head, the spikes, and the tail, and it's just gold paint down here on the feet and then the shoulders. The head itself, you got no back and forth. You got a little up and down, and you got a mouth that opens fairly wide with blue eyes, but it's a really muted blue, so it's very difficult to pick up and looks sort of lifeless, in all honesty. None of some of these pins move back and forth. Spoke too soon there. If that's a big deal for you. And then the tail has a bit of a wiggle waggle. So there's that. The front legs ratchet up and down. And then you have a, reverse elbow basically. No rocker, so he's always had to be like this to really work. And the rear legs, ratchet universal basically. So you can get them out, but there's no rocker down there either, so you're still fairly limited. You can spread the back out a bit, but... And then you got what ends up being the bicep swivel, but here is the thigh swivel, knee, and then ankle tilt, which is fine. Detailings-wise, it does have a lot. We have the gold, we have silver paint here, black plastic, gray plastic break up there. We have some blue paint up in there. Red, I'm guessing paint, that might be plastic. And then gold paint, blue paint, gold paint, silver paint, blue paint, red paint. They decked it out. Blue, red, yellow, all that looks good. No issues. And then that little red detailings down here in the tail, which I think also looks good. Nice little kind of, accent. There it is next to Tiger Tracks. So, one thing I do want to mention that I forgot to mention is this gray seems lighter than the other ones in my mind, but this gray seems like the other Dinobots. I'm not sure why this is the old gray and this is a new gray, unless it's a Diaclone thing that I don't understand, and I'm fine with that. It's just that is very, very strange. The instructions are very small and simple and on one piece of paper, so I'm going to do the best I can to kind of make sense of them. And as far as what I can tell, you just sort of have to split the center here, separate the front part of the dinosaur from the back part, sort of traditional sludge motif or snarl motif, flip the legs down. And flip the toes forward and the other toe forward. And you want to tuck in the dino leg. And I almost want to say that that is it. Make sure that these are down, I suppose, and then we'll spin at the waist. Should have known better. There is one thing I missed here, and that is just to bring these pieces forward, and that will let you extend the leg all the way down. Then for the upper body, we want to split the tail. The tail sits on a double hinge, but if you stay oriented by bringing up the chest, bringing this piece up, and getting this head out of the cavity here, and then rotate the arms around to the front. Actually, you got to rotate them up this way anyway, so I think it's like that. Maybe it's like, yeah, it's like that. All right, and then bring this down and this up, and then this just sort of sits back there, which is a bit strange. And then open up here, flip the hand out, close her up, open up here, flip the hand out, close her up. I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. All right, so let's talk about them. The head is on a ball peg. I have a hard time with getting mine to sort of stay in position at the neck, but you can get up, limited, a good bit down, which I think is more important with Dinobots. The face sculpt is kind of not for me. It might be for you, and that's fine. It's not for me because it's not, you know, quote unquote G1 accurate. They're not going for a G1 look here per se. It's just not for me because I just don't, I think the eyes are perhaps too long. You know, it just doesn't do it for me, and then the facial expression is a little strange. Nice silver paint on the face though. And then we have gold paint on the chest, red and silver. We've kind of already talked about that. Nice metallic blue paint and on the sides. That all works great. Looks awesome. It also has, because of the transformation, has a bit of an ab crunch. So that's really nice. No complaints there. Then we have this universal joint. Nice ratcheted joint there. And you get out to the side a good bit. And then to cover down on the joint, the universal joint is actually fairly smart. Has a double hinge system here and here to allow it to clear most of its own engineering. So you can collapse it and give it more of a streamlined look, and then you can expand it all that good way to get, you know, some articulation. So I applaud that as well. Nice black paint in there, and then blue paint on the shoulder. Bicep swivel, single hinged elbow that gets you a little shy of 90 degrees. Red paint, blue paint, that looks good. Wrist swivel. Fingers are on a base pin knuckle, and index finger, I thought was individually articulated, but maybe I am wrong. I am wrong. So fingers are on a base pin knuckle, that's all you get. So it's fine. Wrist swivel, that's what you got there. Ratcheted waist swivel, that's fine. Nice silver detailings in the pelvis and that same blue metallic paint, which looks great throughout, to be included on the universal joints there, which are ratcheted out to the side for the full Van Damme. And soft ratcheted front and back. So I guess they're both kind of a soft ratchet. But the front and back ones feel a little less strong than the out to the side ones. But all in all, works fine. Thigh swivel at the bottom of the universal. Ratcheted knee, single hinge that gets you 90 degrees, I say. Make sure that this stays clear. And a bit of a toe tilt, technically. Silver and gold paint there. And then an ankle rocker. Now, I have the foot. I've been using the foot to kind of give him more floor support, because this is all hollow, you know, down in there. And that has worked for me, but you can tuck the foot a bit more up inside to get a, you know, a very significant ankle rocker. So that's not really an issue. The issue here is this. Like, what happened here? And I mean, I get you can collapse it a little bit, but that's not the best, is it? It's like he's got a permanent umbrella on his head. You know, like that. It's just, I mean, you know, that's a subjective thing. I just feel like it's just like it's, you know, it's throwing it away there. You can tuck that in if you want to get a little bit more, but I think everybody likes Snarl with the tail out. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. That's just, very strange. It seems unfinished in that regard, and it's not like they didn't have the time, you know what I mean? But looking at it, I thought it was going to be terrible. It's not terrible, but the things that bother you about it in pictures are going to bother you about it in person. Size comparison wise, there it is with a Hasbro Voyager and a Hasbro Deluxe. So size, I think is fine. Final thoughts wise, the negatives is mostly that it just doesn't feel current. It feels very dated. It's not the most interesting of designs even amongst its predecessors, and it certainly doesn't hold up in terms of design to a lot of the stuff that's being released now, especially in this scale. If you look at like the Planet X stuff, the MMC stuff even, especially the better stuff like Spark Toys and whatnot, it kind of destroys what's going on here. This back piece of kibble seems very unfinished, and it just seems like they just didn't know what to do with it, and at the end of the day, they didn't care. The first time I messed with it, I thought it was a bit fiddly, but most of it does lock and stay in the position. There's some stuff in the chest and in the ab crunch and in the shoulder plates that rotate, even in the tail and in the black back kibble that at first glance might seem like it's just fiddly, but it does secure if you push hard enough. You can even say the same, like to give you an idea of something that I haven't done, this head, hopefully I can get my smudger out or spudger. This pegs in to the side here, you know? But, you know, this has that gold chrome on it, and I don't want to be rubbing it up against. It doesn't belong to me. So it does have stuff like that going for it. It is, once you get it pinned down, so to speak, it does sort of lock and hold its position. But just something to be mindful of. At the first time messing with it, you might think, oh my goodness, what a fiddly piece of junk. It's not. The articulation is a little limited due to the bulkiness of a lot of the stuff without the elegance that you might expect. And then some of the design choices. And I'm not speaking about aesthetics in the sense of it's not G1. I'm thinking about aesthetics in the sense of just making sense of it. Like, I'm okay with how the head and shoulders ends up looking. That looks kind of true to form with what they've been doing with the line. But this little umbrella here, so that his head doesn't get, you know, wet when it's raining, that one doesn't work for me as much. So it's stuff like that, and that's a matter of subjectivity, and I totally agree, but I think I just wouldn't be myself if I didn't point it out. It's painted fairly well, though, and the engineering is easy enough and kind of fun enough to flip back and forth, although maybe not as rewarding because not everything tucks away as nicely as you wish it would. Materials feel good, articulation works fairly well. It doesn't quite have the presence that you want it to have, and that's mainly because it has a stubbiness feel to it. Just seems proportionately a bit stumpy. Let me back out for a second. Just seems like the thighs aren't long enough. It seems like the chest is too long and the abdomen isn't like proportionate to it. Like, there's just some proportionate issues in that regard, and that's what kind of throws the presence off. But if you have the display space to display your figures in a more dynamic pose, he does have a fairly good action figure element to him as well, which is something I wanted to point out. So ultimately, it's not their best Dinobot, but it's certainly not their worst. My biggest gripe and complaint is that we haven't seen much improvement, if any, and to be honest, we've probably seen a decline since they released their first. The passion and ingenuity just doesn't really seem to be here. So if you have the other ones, I can go ahead and recommend this one. If you don't have any of the other ones, this one certainly isn't strong enough for me to suggest getting the whole set. It just isn't a great set in El Total. I think Kubrar is still my favorite. But I really do appreciate the opportunity of being able to look at the whole set. I got out of it after the swoop, because that one is certainly, I think, maybe the worst. So I was able to look at the Grimlock and then now the Snarl, and I do appreciate the opportunity to do so because it kind of makes me feel fulfilled in some way that I got to look at the whole set. So I'm sure if you were collecting the whole set, you'll feel even more fulfilled. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. The only problem is that it didn't quite meet expectations, I think, in the end, when it was all said and done. When FansProject announced they were doing Dinobots, at the time, because of their reputation, people were like, oh my god, FansProject is doing Dinobots, like my dreams are answered. And it just didn't hold up. I recently had a big bit of hype happen to me. A buddy of mine, shout out to Chucky O, he said there's some euphoric element to eating a cold orange in a hot shower. Have you guys ever heard of this? Look, it doesn't ultimately matter, but he goes on and on and on about it. Now, I happen to have great taste in oranges. I like Sumo Oranges, Sumo Citrus. If you've ever tried them, they're delicious. They're actually a Japanese orange, and they're quite expensive. They're about $3 an orange, but they are a life-changing orange. They are the Honeycrisp of oranges, if you're an Apple fan. So when he was telling me all this hoopity hoopla about taking a shower, a hot shower with a cold orange, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try that with a Sumo. Oh, that's good. Orange. Like a stomach massage from an angel. That's good. He's the have what I'm having. And the truth is that's how I expected it to be, but it wasn't. It was very average. It's pretty much what you would expect eating an orange in a shower feels like. And equally in terms of unfortunate events, that's kind of how these Dinobots played out. A lot of hype, a lot of reputation, and a lot of strong characters, but collectively as a set ended up being fine. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.